So there are about an average of 16,671 current Division I FBS college football players. I'd say it's impossible to remember them all, so there's bound to be some amazing years by players that we just forget about. So for this video, I wanted to look at some college football players who had magical seasons that you might have forgot about. These videos take a while to make, so a like and a sub would be appreciated. Anyway, let's hop right in. And also, if there's any amazing seasons by players you remember, comment them down below. I might take a look at it and turn it into a video. So the first player I want to talk about in this video is running back Kenneth Walker, and more specifically his amazing 2021 season, where he set the college football world on fire and would help bring back Michigan State into the spotlight, where I think we can agree Sparty belongs. Well, at least I do. College football is way more fun when more teams are good. Anyway, before we get into the magical 2021 season Kenneth Walker and Michigan State had, let's see how Kenneth even found himself playing for old Sparty. Being born in Arlington, Tennessee, Kenneth Walker would attend Arlington High School and would have a pretty decent high school career, rushing for about 3,500 yards and 41 touchdowns, becoming an all-state back. Oddly, even though he was recognized alongside his peers as one of the top talents in the state, he would only be ranked as the 1,874th best overall recruit according to on3.com, and would only receive FBS offers from Arkansas State, Kent State, and Wake Forest. Walker would choose to stay pretty close to home, deciding to take his talents to the University of Wake Forest. And before you comment Wake Forest isn't close, it's like 9 hours away from where Kenneth Walker was born, so vibe. In 2019 for Wake Forest, Kenneth Walker would put up 579 rushing yards with 4 touchdowns. Pretty decent stats for a freshman. In 2020, a year that seems like it never happened, at least in the world of sports, Kenneth Walker would finish with the same amount of rushing yards in 2020, but he did add 13 touchdowns. After his sophomore year, Kenneth Walker decided it was time for a change of scenery. It seemed like the Wake Forest offensive system just wasn't the fit Kenneth had imagined it to be when signing a couple of years ago. So he would put his name in the transfer portal, and after some conversations with coaches Mel Tucker and Jay Johnson, Kenneth knew his home for the 2021 season was going to be in East Lansing. It really didn't take long for Kenneth Walker to introduce himself to the Michigan State fan base, as in his first game of the season on the road versus last year's Big Ten West champs Northwestern, he would break his previous single-game rushing record easily.
Thought he was the favorite the entire offseason.
All right, toe has met leather, and we are underway, and the first touch is for Kenneth Walker. And a breakaway down the far sideline, and Kenneth Walker. And run it with Walker. Terrific change of direction, touchdown. Walker, a little bit of a delay, and it's a foot race for the pylon, and Kenneth.
Big play for this defense.
200 yards rushing on the ground. Walker will add to that total and more. He's already got 3 touchdown runs. Kenneth Walker caught and hung. In your debut, Walker, can he get a 4th touchdown? He can.
Michigan State would open up the season with an impressive win against Northwestern, 38-21, in a game that saw our guy Kenneth Walker finish with 264 rushing yards. And I don't know if you noticed, but on that first big run of the game where Kenneth would take off for a 75-yard touchdown, you could just see how excited he was to be in a new system. At least that's what it looked like to me. Following the Northwestern game, Sparty and Kenneth would face off against Youngstown State, and as expected, Sparty would win pretty easily, 42-14. Kenneth would only take on a light workload this game, as he would carry the ball for 57 yards and a touchdown. Don't worry though, because in Sparty's next stretch of 4 games against 24th ranked Miami, Nebraska, Western Kentucky, and here we go again, hopefully I can pronounce their name right this time, Rutgers, Kenneth Walker would total 592 rushing yards through that stretch. Would it be enough to keep Michigan State undefeated though?
3rd and 1. Walker, look at the hole he has. Kenneth Walker inside the 30. He's matched up with Couch, 3rd and goal. Walker in. Brian, his other brother, who's on the team. Thorne. Wide open!
Yard play. Here's Walker looking for a lane. He has it. Walker. Journey back out to punt. And room. Reed. Jaden Reed. Touchdown! On 3rd and 3. Martinez will throw on the slant, and it's intercepted. 21 yards out to win the game. Snap, spot, ball game.
Walker sticks his foot in the ground, gets to the outside. Walker dive. Thorne under center on the delay. Walker skipping to the outside, tries to hurdle one defender, keeps the legs going, dives to the pylon. Touchdown. Reed in motion, already with 2 TDs tonight. Walker fidgets and scores.
Thorne and company return to the fold. Here's Kenneth Walker right up the middle. Ooh. But this will help. Get him some breathing room. Walker across the 30, still on his feet. There he goes. Kenneth Walker. He's going to go all the way. One play, 90
Through that 4-game stretch of games, which were all wins, Kenneth Walker would rush for 172 yards against Miami in a win 38-17, 61 yards in a win against Nebraska 23-20, 126 yards in a win against Western Kentucky 48-31, and in his second 200 bomb of the season, he would put up a bonkers 233 yards on the ground against my all-time rival Rutgers. Sparty was sitting at 6-0 and ranked in the top 10 for the first time since 2016. I know you can't contribute success to one player because football is truly the ultimate team sport, but the addition of Kenneth Walker was definitely playing a huge role in the season Sparty was having. Michigan State's next game was up against Indiana in a real sloppy affair that Michigan State barely managed to stay alive in, with the final score being a real ugly 20-15. And even though the volume of carries was there for Kenneth Walker, as he had 23 touches but only finished with 84 yards, if I had to speculate, I would say maybe the team as a whole was looking ahead and past the 2-3 Hoosiers and were more focused on their next game against in-state rival Michigan in the battle for the Paul Bunyan Trophy. No matter what, they were able to survive against Indiana, which in the grand scheme of things, all that matters is Sparty got the dub, putting them at 7-0 and moving their ranking in the AP poll to the 8th spot, setting up Kenneth Walker for his moment to be in the spotlight on national TV against the 6th-ranked Michigan Wolverines in the College Game Day Game of the Week. All eyes would be on Kenneth Walker. This would be his chance against some real NFL competition to make a statement and hopefully parlay this amazing season into a high draft pick. Would he be able to deliver?
I'm not sure those people up there all agree with that. Look at them.
They're swaying.
Hey.
They're swaying.
Oh,
They're swaying.
Michigan State. It'd be crazy for somebody like me to pick Michigan.
For sure. You don't want to do that.
I'm crazy. Go Big Blue! Go Big Blue!
Oh, boy.
Third and 5 at the 7. McNamara standing strong in the pocket, and it's caught. Anthony with a burst. Anthony down the sideline. Andrew Anthony. Touchdown Wolverines. With you. And the Spartans. Kenneth Walker. Touchdown Michigan State. First and 10 of 25. And it's Walker, breaks it outside. Walker gets a block. Walker on his feet. Walker. And Thorne to throw it.
And giving up the big play. They lose people in coverage, and here, misaligned at the snap again.
Flag on the play. Walker. Touchdown Spartans. McCarthy sprints out of the pocket. Throws. Caught. McNamara. Sidearms and cut. Touchdown. Thorne lobs it up. Caught. Spartans quickly to the line of scrimmage. Walker. Can he get in? Touchdown MSU. They quickly to the line of scrimmage. Third down and 3. Walker. Kenneth Walker. Walking him down. 58 yards. Here's the give. Walker. Kenneth Walker. Touchdown. Sparty. McNamara looking. Fires incomplete. No flag.
First thing I have to say right off the bat is Kenneth Walker single-handedly took this game over, finishing the game with 197 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns in a win against Michigan 37-33. A straight-up insane stat line against an elite defense. And something else I have to mention is that there were so many runs during the game against Michigan where the D-line would reach the backfield and Kenneth Walker would have to put on some moves and evade them. Just an overall spectacular game by our guy. And I know his draft stock was already rising, but this game for sure gave the scouts some really good film to look over. Besides Kenneth receiving national attention, Old Sparty was as well, as their win against Michigan would move their record to 8-0 in their ranking to the 3rd spot in the latest polls. And also, Kenneth Walker would be second in the Heisman race odds. Unfortunately, after reaching such highs on the season, Michigan State would split their next 2 games, losing to Purdue 40-29 in a game that saw Sparty's defense get torched by Aiden O'Connell for 536 yards through the air. At least Kenneth held his weight, rushing for 136 yards and a touchdown. Sparty would bounce back the following week against Maryland and win 40-21 in a game that saw Kenneth Walker rush for 143 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Now sitting at 9-1 and ranked 7th in the country, Sparty and Kenneth Walker were back in the spotlight once again, playing in the College Game Day Game of the Week against bitter rival the 4th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, led by NFL stud CJ Stroud and a boatload of other NFL-bound players. Could Kenneth and Sparty shock the world for a second time?
50 minutes.
Stroud from the pocket across the middle. High throw. Oh, Lobby's got it. Stroud looking to throw on first down. First downfield shot. It's Wilson running free. This is a tough assignment for him. And the Ohio native will slide it wide right. Oh, there we go. Standing up.
Michigan State would get manhandled by the Ohio State Buckeyes 56-7 in a game that was pretty much over before the second half. The Buckeyes managed to commit to the run and hold Kenneth Walker to under 30 yards rushing, turning the run-heavy offense into a passing one, and unfortunately against a pretty good secondary, quarterback Peyton Thorne wouldn't be able to rise to the occasion. Michigan State would bounce back the following week, winning a tight one against Penn State in a game that saw Kenneth Walker rush for 138 yards and a touchdown, putting Sparty's final record on the year at 10-2 and their final ranking in the polls to the 10th spot. Pretty good if you ask me, as in the last couple of years before this 2021 season, Michigan State had been playing down to what the fans of this great college program expects. Sparty would also beat Pittsburgh in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, but our guy Kenneth Walker would understandably opt out of this game and prepare himself for the NFL draft. So let's wrap up this entry in this part of the video with Kenneth Walker's season stats and accolades. Walker would finish the 2021 college football season with over 1,600 yards on the ground with 18 touchdowns and would average 6.2 yards a carry. For his accolades, Walker would be awarded with the Walter Camp National Player of the Year Award, the Doak Walker Award, as well as Big Ten Co-Offensive Player of the Year. And as a cherry on top, he would be voted as a consensus All-American. Not too bad for a guy who wasn't heavily recruited in his own home state. Okay, so that was the first college football player you probably forgot had an amazing season. So let's move on from Kenneth Walker and Michigan State and travel down to the Big 12 in Manhattan, Kansas to take a look at my profile pick, Colin Klein, and his insane 2012 season with Kansas State. Where do we start? Well, I guess we should with where he is from and where he attended high school. Colin Klein was born in Loveland, Colorado and played his high school ball, obviously at, who would guess it, Loveland High School. And I was really trying to find some of Colin Klein's high school stats but couldn't. If you know them, comment them down below, please. Also, just like our previous entry, Colin Klein wasn't very highly recruited. Coming out of high school, mostly having offers from smaller schools like Air Force, Colorado State, and Utah. And I know Utah is a bigger school now, but this was back in 2007. Colin would choose to play his college ball at Kansas State and would redshirt his first year, not seeing any action. Kind of like a night out downtown for me. Something that I didn't know before making this video was that Colin Klein played receiver in 2009, finishing the year with 6 catches for 38 yards and a touchdown. And I just have to say, there's nothing I respect more than somebody who can take a lower role just to get on the field and contribute instead of bitching and whining about why things aren't going their way. Colin would be rewarded for his willingness to do whatever it takes to get on the field, and in the following year he would become Kansas State's go-to quarterback whenever they were in running situations. As in 2010, he would finish the year with 76 carries for 486 yards and 6 touchdowns. A little taste of what's to come. Pause. In 2011, Colin Klein would have his breakout year, as after waiting 3 long years, it was finally time for this absolute unit to start at the most important position in sports, quarterback. And in his first year of running the show full-time, he wouldn't disappoint, finishing the year with almost 2,000 passing yards with 13 touchdowns, but easily his most eye-popping stat was his insane nearly 1,200 rushing yards with 27 rushing touchdowns. Just some straight up out-of-this-world numbers. Okay, so that was our little intro before we get into Colin's 2012 season. Now that we got that out the way, let's hop right into our guy's magical 2012 campaign. Starting the year, Colin Klein was dealing with his first ever bit of expectations. Coming into the season, as the Kansas State Wildcats were coming into the year ranked 22nd in the entire country, and now that most teams had a chance to see a full year of game film on Colin Klein, it was safe to say that this year was going to be tough, and Colin would need to improve on his passing if this Kansas State football squad wanted to make a run at the Big 12 title. To open the year, Colin and Kansas State would easily win their first 3 matchups against Missouri State 51-9, which saw Klein finish with 169 passing yards, Nice with 54 rushing, 52-13 against the University of Miami, which Klein would pass for 210 and rush for 71 yards, and finally to end this little 3-game stretch, a win against North Texas 35-21, in a game that saw Colin Klein finish with 230 passing yards and 85 rushing yards. Now sitting at 3-0, ranked 15th in the country, it was time for Colin Klein and Kansas State to face their real first test of the season, a game against conference rival the 6th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Would they be able to overcome this ginormous obstacle standing in the way of their Big 12 title dreams?
Here's Jones under pressure now. Jones lost it, picked up, touchdown K-State. Punch it into the end zone. Bell running, Bell, touchdown. Klein, play fake, sets up deep in the pocket for the sideline. Oh, what a catch! Against Jefferson, the safety. Klein bounces it outside with running room, and Colin Klein wants to run it outside. Klein, touchdown. Klein on the run, all caught. Tannehill is on season. Klein throwing to his tight end once again. Tannehill, who stays inbounds and picks Kansas State. Hubert, touchdown, Cats! Sooners have turned it over 3 times. Jones over the middle, caught. The freshman dives. Touchdown. Klein over the middle, Klein. seconds away.
Kansas State would come out on top 24-19 against the 6th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Optimus Klein would finish the game with 149 passing yards and would rush for 79 yards with a touchdown. Something that I want to point out about that game is that there were so many times late in the game where in obvious passing situations, Colin Klein would come through in the clutch and find the open target to keep a drive going. Especially on that big 3rd down and 11 late in the 4th quarter with like 3 minutes left in the game. That big clutch throw Colin made sealed the game, bringing Kansas State's record to 4-0 and skyrocketing their rankings in the polls to the 7th spot in the entire country. Following the huge win against the Sooners, Klein and Kansas State would rattle off 2 more wins, one against Kansas in a 56-16 blowout, which saw Colin finish with a pair of passing touchdowns and a pair of rushing touchdowns, and a close win against Iowa State 27-21 in a game where Colin Klein finished with 187 passing yards as well as 105 rushing yards with 3 touchdowns. Now sitting at 6-0 and being ranked as the 4th best team in the entire country, Colin Klein and the Kansas State Wildcats were coming up upon their toughest part of the schedule. A 3-game stretch for his Big 12 conference opponents, all ranked in the top 25, them being the 13th ranked West Virginia Mountaineers, 14th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders, and finally the 24th ranked Oklahoma State Polks. No spoilers. Well, I guess this is kind of a spoiler, but Optimus Klein would absolutely show out during this stretch.
Klein wants to throw it in the end zone. Touchdown, Kansas State. 2nd and goal. Klein, quarterback sneak.
When he falls forward, it's usually a touchdown.
Touch it. Klein runs the action. Keeps it. Turns. Touchdown, K-State. Got 2 rushing touchdowns. Klein pump fake. Over the middle. Caught.
Every week, they do exactly that.
Klein to throw over the middle. Caught again. Play fake. Klein. Looking. Throwing the home run.
Things get a lot better here in the next few days. Here it is Tyler Lockett of Kansas State from the end zone. He's got an alley. Here comes Lockett. Look out. He can move. Touchdown. Had the flat screens out there. They were all huddled around hoping that Pittsburgh could win it, but it was not to be. Picked off. Intercepted. Coming back is Chapman. Just like a year ago. Tailback. And he keeps it himself and dashes straight ahead.
Through that 3-game stretch of incredible play, Kansas State would win every game, and Optimus Klein would absolutely ball out in wins against the 13th ranked West Virginia Mountaineers 55-14, putting up 323 passing yards with 41 rushing yards and an insane 7 total touchdowns. Definitely a game littered with Heisman moments for Klein, but the huge games didn't stop at West Virginia, as against 14th ranked Texas Tech, Klein would put up over 300 total yards with 4 total touchdowns, and finally to end this crazy 3-game stretch, a 44-30 win against 24th ranked Oklahoma State, in a game that saw Klein put up 245 passing yards with 64 rushing yards and a touchdown. Just a straight up insane stretch of ball from the Wildcats and Klein. Now sitting at 9-0, ranked 2nd in the country, all eyes were on Kansas State and Optimus Klein, as around this time there was real chatter around the college football world that Colin Klein was the favorite to win the Heisman. The following week, Kansas State would win a tough defensive battle against the TCU Horned Frogs 23-10, and one of Klein's least impressive games of the season, where he would finish with just under 200 total yards with 2 touchdowns, which for your average player isn't a bad stat line, but for the Heisman hopeful, the stats needed to pick up. Now 10-0, Kansas State was ranked as the #1 team in the entire country, and would have to win only 2 more games against 4-5 Baylor and the 18th ranked 8-3 Texas Longhorns to finish the season perfect and guarantee themselves a spot in the BCS National Championship game. Could Optimus Klein and Kansas State clutch up and make history?
Confidence running the football right now.
First down, play fake. Florence gonna go deep. Got a man out there. Touchdown, Baylor. Drive of the ball game for the #1 team in the country. Klein to throw. Double pumps, goes to the goal line. Touchdown. Here to open the 3rd quarter. Klein, plenty of time. Down the middle, intercepted. Picked off in the secondary, and the Bears are going the other way with Sam Hall. Bill Martin in the backfield now. He's going to get the carry straight ahead. Touchdown, Bears. Tight end's on a wing there. He's going to be a blocker. Now he gets out of the way, and here's going to be a Baylor touchdown. Colin Klein going to go to the end zone. Intercepted in the end zone. Robertson, the fullback. He's going to throw, though. The out is intercepted. Pick six coming. Nigel Malone. Play action. Klein loads. Deep ball. Got a man there. Got him. Locked in. Touchdown. Klein will keep it. Klein will score. Touchdown.
Sadly, Kansas State and Colin Klein would split the two games, losing to Baylor 24-50, which Colin Klein would throw 3 interceptions and overall just not play his best football, but would bounce back against 18th ranked Texas, putting on a dominant performance, winning 42-24, putting up just under 300 total yards with 3 total touchdowns and clinching the Big 12 title. I'm not gonna lie, I think those stretch of 2 subpar games against TCU and Baylor is what really took Klein out of the running for the Heisman, as he would finish 3rd behind Manti Te'o and Johnny Manziel. But I mean, 3rd is still pretty good, right? Anyway, I want to end this video on a positive note, so let's take a look at Colin Klein's stats for the year and his accolades. Optimus Klein would finish the 2012 season passing for over 2,600 yards with 13 touchdowns and would rush for an incredible 920 yards with a bonkers 23 rushing touchdowns, which was number 1 for all quarterbacks this year and 6th for all positions, which is also insane. For his awards, our guy would take home the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, the Kellen Moore Award, Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, Big 12 Athlete of the Year, and finally he was a second-team All-American. Crazy considering how under-recruited he was coming out of high school. But that goes to show with effort you can accomplish anything. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this video. I'm definitely going to be doing a part 2 soon, so be sure to comment any seasons that you think I forgot about. I'm out.